And an immeasurable amount of time later, we have our Primordials built. And it was not the easiest of tasks at times, but it has been accomplished nonetheless. Let's talk about it. So first up, this was, what was his name? Ballat, wasn't it? That sounds right. The biggest issue that I had with him was the fact that I didn't do a good job of aligning his spear here. As you can see, it goes one way and then starts to bend. Shame on me. And the other was that I lost the hand that's got the cudgel, shovel, whatever weapon he's got going on here, which actually is nice and straight. But then the aligning of the chains for that flail of his, nothing connected. So I got kind of crafty and creative, and since I had to already print out the extra spare hand, I went ahead and started to screw around with the various chains and little bits of chain to actually make sure everything had a solid connection. So we're good now. But yeah, that one was a fun hassle. Everything else actually went together really nice. I'm still not a big fan of the headdress with it just being a clear slice across the top. Personally, maybe it would have made more sense to just have the head a separate piece, but I can see why they didn't, because it's got like those little tassel things hanging off that are actually attached to the shoulder armor there. So it is what it is. The other big worry is just the sheer pointy, sticky outiness of this figure. He's going in a lot of different directions. I just pray for both his safety and my sanities as I do eventually make the attempt to get him painted, because I absolutely want to have this guy painted. These big centerpiece models from Dragon Trappers Lodge, always been a big fan of. So that's our first of the Primordials. And just to give you guys a good size indicator, I just grabbed my typical human. So a GW human model there for scale comparison. And if you are familiar with the Dragon Trappers Lodge stuff, we've got one of the Children of the Flame infantry as well. Relatively similar in size to humans, but we're going to keep it within company models only. Sorry, GW. Although we could have a lizard man, I guess. Why did we have a lizard man? Well, because I was printing up some of the old ones. Even though we're talking about the Primordials here. If you want some nice big lizards. And again, my only issue with these guys are those weapon halves. I just always am afraid I'm going to break them. Which I did, and I'll show you guys. I do also like the fact that there are contact points for his claws to touch into the base to help facilitating stability, of which he actually is quite stable. So if you didn't want to have one of those on foot, you can actually have them riding on those big Brutosaurus units that were carrying the weaponry, which I showed off last time, and I don't know where I put it, but I totally, this is a champion one, totally had that snap. So I'm going to have to figure out some way. I'm thinking I might just like drill a hole and put a pin in there to glue it and then keep it supported that way. But yeah, these are big, big models. They also have these weird notches in their tails. And it took me a while to figure out that it's actually so it kind of lines up with the side of the saddle. So you can see just... You could probably like run just the old ones and the champions here, the Reborn Champion, I think it was called. You could probably use them as like ogres if you want to do like a Kings of War type army with them. Totally doable. They're just big. And for me, that's, you know, one of the prime attractions right there. I hope that didn't break. Also, to point out really quick, because every time the Dragon Trappers Lodge has some sort of new unit, we get various weapon options, and these were kind of cool. I thought they had these kind of underhanded, like tonfa blade things. But what was really kind of neat, and I'm glad they did this, was they actually had an extra contact point with his loincloth touching down on the ground and the remains of one of his buddies that he is about to trample over. because there was a whole unit of little miniature hunter, stalker lizards. So it'll look like that when he's on the base. Kind of a cool idea, just to help give it a little bit more stability. I don't like one-footed models on the base, so it's nice to have that little extra point. Getting back on track here to the actual Primordials. The next one, which is a major balancing act until we actually get him glued, and I'm about to break it, is Salil, the Primordial of Magic. So we got all of the base stuff attached. I have Salil themselves. I don't know if it's what gender. I'm horrible guessing genders of lizards anyways. But you can see here, too many limbs, big ball of energy to blast everybody with. Can't tell if those are the eyes or if that's some kind of like part of the headdress that they're wearing. Again, really intricate, ornate armor. And then we have the big floaty shell, which I did an awful job of actually gluing together. It's going to connect right here, like so, and you can see all those nice, wonderful gaps. Maybe I should put it down on the base first. I did mention earlier that I broke off one of the little straps here. I couldn't even tell you which one. I can't tell where it goes even, so I'm not too worried about it now. And there is Salil all set to go. The tail itself is actually not hollowed, so that's a good sign. I'm sure once they're glued on there, they should be a little bit more sturdy, but again, I would exercise caution having any of these models, running around on the table. Again, just to get a good size indicator of what we're dealing with when it comes to humans in comparison. I don't think these are as big as a GW Knight. I don't want to grab it because it's going to knock a lot of stuff off the counters here. So we're going to just keep it handy as my big hairy arm gets in the way. We'll just set that down for now. And we will let Annihilim, the Primordial of Cataclysm, slide on. So this was kind of a neat one in that if you really, really wanted to, other than the fact that his volcano smoke is already spewing out right here, and just boop, slides. Well, I can never figure it out at first, and eventually I get it on. I think it goes like that. That looks right. Pop those in the volcanoes. And yep, there we go, we're good. I feel like he's a little too thin. Maybe I'm just spoiled with Ballat here, as he is just so large and in charge, but again, I think a lot of that width of him is due to his little array thing with the sliding mechanical arms on the back. Whereas Annihilim here is pretty much au natural. But at least he does have that smoke to give him a little bit more size and impressiveness. I mean, it's not like he's hurting in that factor. I think the biggest thing for me was, especially when I saw the art for him, I was super impressed. I would almost want to blow it up to maybe like 150% size and really have him stand out. I can't make up my mind. I've already got this one fully completed. I will paint it. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do all that yet, because he's got like that kind of rocky outcropping on his back here that seems to have that kind of rocky volcanic texture, but then he's like got a regular torso. I'm really not sure. But just really, really cool models. I think visually, between the three of them, they're so distinct and different from each other is already a cool plus. If you factor in and you have any of the previous dinosaur gods from the Lost Continent, of which I've shown off the god of death here, he's even kind of dwarfed by them, which is kind of cool. And he's not a slouch in the size department either. I mean, he's a good handful of a model. So, woe to anybody who ends up tangling with my giant lizard dinosaur army in the near future, if and when it ever gets around to being finished. But yeah, absolutely really impressive models, but that does not surprise me when it comes to these big centerpiece style pieces from the Dragon Trapper's Lodge. And that's not even mentioning, because I'm kind of focused, I guess, on all of the more wargaming skirmish style stuff that also has the OPR one-page rules already good to go with it. But the accompanying set when this was released was, what was it, Nellie's Brush of Infinite Wonders, which was a series of models that was designed by children, and they had a paint challenge for children, and just really fun ideas. And I'm just going to warn everybody now, I got some ringers this year. If they ever do another one of those challenges, I'm teaching the older kids, and I've got some really creative ones, and I might just have to tap them. So hopefully we'll see some cool results from them. But just general weirdness, which I'm always into. Like, they had the giant cat bread bus. We've got the rose beholder here. And if you want to look up any of this stuff on their site, a lot of it you can see the original artwork. We've got the Unicats, which of course are going to be painted rainbows. We had this dude right here. What was his name? Crix the Devourer, which is like this like wolf dude. He was like in red and black armor with these big blades. And the original illustrations were just totally metal. And I managed to snap his hammer, unfortunately. But now that I've got this filmed, he's going to get primed. And we'll see which one of these primordials ends up actually getting painted first, but it's probably going to be Ballat, but we'll get started on all of them. So yeah, if you're interested, as always, we've got those links down below. We've had plenty of stuff here we've shown off today, and hopefully something of that mix will tickle your fancy just as much as mine. And with that said, then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.